Like, you have seen players in our league try to, like, toughen up Caitlin. We call her Cece. Cece. For even when I wasn't on her team, like I know the talks that Phoenix had in the locker room of like, no, we're gonna prove her, we're gonna show her what the W really is. You know what I mean? And like I get it to a certain extent, and like every rookie coming into the league, that's how you're gonna treat them. But
Right.
there's just more for her. So it's her second year. And like now being on her team and like seeing it, I'm like, what are people doing? Like, actually, just it's just too much. Too much.
Everybody's got a hot take today. Caitlin Clark is done. She's quitting the W. She's booking a one-way to Europe. Cue the dramatic farewell montage. That's the storyline flying around your feed. And it's wrong. The real story is messier, more uncomfortable, and way more important than a clicky rumor. The real story is that a current WNBA player just said the quiet part out loud. And if you actually listen to her, the question isn't, is Caitlin leaving? It's, can this league protect the stars it depends on? Yes, we're talking about Caitlin Clark's return. Yes, we're talking about Sophie Cunningham's podcast. And yes, within the first minute we're going to the line that detonated the comment section. She could be playing if it wasn't in the WNBA by now. I know, that's a record scratch. But hang tight. I'm going to show you why she said it, what it reveals, and how it changes the stakes for Caitlin, the refs, the league office, and every player trying to survive a season that feels less like basketball and more like a weekly collision test. Here's the deal. This matters right now because the gap between hype and reality is where careers get bent out of shape. When a star is sidelined, fans want clarity, teammates want a timeline, and the league wants momentum, not to die on the vine. I've spent too many hours studying these trends, listening to what players actually say when the cameras aren't demanding a brand-friendly answer, and tracking how leagues, plural, handle their meal ticket athletes. So when Sophie talks, I listen. And here's your quick proof before we dive. In 2024, she's eaten thousands of dollars in fines for saying things the league would prefer to bury. $500 here for calling out refs on TikTok. $1. 500 there for pointing to officiating inconsistencies on a podcast, and an extra penalty that wasn't even publicly itemized. Who volunteers to light that much money on fire if there isn't a principle attached? That's not clout chasing. That's a cost of doing business for telling the truth as she sees it. Roadmap for you. First, I'll show you why Sophie's voices weight. Second, we'll pull apart that August 19th line about Caitlin and why it flips the entire narrative. Third, we'll walk into the officiating minefield and the perception of selective protection. Fourth, we'll deal with the information blackout that keeps fans guessing. And finally, we'll step back and ask the big question. Can the WNBA's current model actually sustain its biggest stars without grinding them down? Start with the part most people skip. Credibility. Plenty of players vent. Very few keep talking after the league invoices them for it. Sophie did. She's paid more than $3,000 this year alone to deliver what are basically depositions with a jump shot. Put that number next to a WNBA salary band that runs roughly from $64,000 to $242,000, and it's not monopoly money anymore. It's a slicing chunk of your take-home for opening your mouth. Imagine clocking into your job, telling one uncomfortable truth on a microphone, and watching 2% of your annual pay evaporate before you finish your coffee. Most people would choose silence. Sophie didn't. That stubborn refusal to shut up is exactly why, when she finally spoke on Caitlin, people leaned forward. She's not performing. She's paying. Now the line that froze the room on August 19th. She could be playing if it wasn't in the WNBA by now. Not she's soft. Not she's ghosting workouts. Not she's done. It was a direct statement about the environment, not the athlete. That's the pivot everyone missed while they were busy doom scrolling. Sophie wasn't questioning Caitlin's toughness. She was spotlighting the league's bar. At this level, she said, with how deep and good the league is, best it's ever been, you can't just be good. You have to be on top of your game. Translation: college dominance and viral highlights don't buy you a cheat code here. The W has reached a point where even a generational scorer doesn't come back at 90% without risking being exposed, re-injured, or both. Pause and let the expectation versus reality settle. Expectation: star heals, star returns, star resumes torching nets, roll credits. Reality: the WNBA is a different planet. Faster, stronger, smarter, and if you're not fully ready, the league will swipe your lunch and your confidence in under 2 quarters. We'll circle back to why that standard is both a badge of honor and a sustainability hazard, but bookmark it. The obstacle isn't just an ankle, a hamstring, or a bruise. It's the ecosystem that lets lace that idea into the on-court physics. The W has developed a reputation, earned, of letting heavy contact play. Not every night, not every matchup, but often enough that players talk about games feeling like rugby scrums and sneakers. That's a cute metaphor when you're healthy and cooking. Coming off an injury? That's a loaded coin toss. Even if you loved Caitlyn in college, and who didn't enjoy the deep logo artillery, the no-look lasers, the arena after arena selling out just to watch the show, you also have to acknowledge the step up in nightly resistance. In the pros, everyone is the best defender you've ever seen, and they're all here, at once, with 6 fouls and scouting reports that read like graduate theses. So when Sophie says the timing of a return is different if it wasn't in the WNBA, she's pointing to a calculus every medical staff is running quietly. Do you put your star back into a blender that chews up legs, or do you buy more time until she looks like herself and not a target? That's not fear. That's career math. Now, before we wade into the officiating swamp, a quick pattern interrupt. Ask yourself why that one sentence from Sophie hit so hard. It wasn't just the content. It was the subtext, coming from someone who's already paid to be honest, who has zero incentive to carry water for the league, and who speaks like a teammate, not a press officer. That's why fans clipped it, replayed it, and started lining up questions. And the most volatile one is this. Are standards applied the same for everyone? Sophie says no. She tells a story about playing against Paige Buchers and describes a whistle so generous you couldn't even breathe on her without a tweet from the ref. Respect for Paige's talent? Yes. But also a not-so-subtle allegation of two-tier treatment, bubble wrap for certain faces, bruises for everyone else. And when Sophie voiced that, the league didn't issue a think piece, it issued a fine. That's the part fans latch onto because it feels like gaslighting from 30,000 feet. You watch a game, you see the contact, you see when a star gets a halo call or two, and then a player confirms the pattern and gets punished for describing what your eyes believed. Whether you agree with Sophie's exact example or not, the perception is sticky. Perfection is demanded, but perfection is judged differently depending on who you are. That's a credibility problem for any league. And it echoes right back into Caitlyn's situation, because if some players get extra air under their parachutes while others are told to gut it out through trench warfare, fans are going to start demanding receipts, which brings us to the quietest loud thing in the whole saga. Nobody seems to know the real timeline. Not fans, not media, and if you take Sophie at face value, not even teammates. Her words are plain. I'm not holding out any information. I just literally don't know. In most pro leagues, when the marquee player is shelved, the machine kicks into transparency mode, diagnosis, reevaluation dates, progress notes. You might not get everything, but you get mile markers. Here, we get day-to-day, we'll see, no update at this time. That's not information. That's a screensaver. Maybe it's about privacy. Maybe it's strategy. Maybe it's the league trying to manage panic. But the longer the silence stretches, the more conspiracy rushes in to fill the vacuum. Fans start connecting dots you might not want connected. If officiating is inconsistent, if the game is hyper-physical, if fines muzzle criticism, and if timelines are foggy, then is the system quietly failing the player who blew the doors open on attendance and ratings? You can hear the online whispers codifying into arguments. Some say Caitlyn's run of contact and injuries isn't bad luck. It's what happens when the rules are enforced with vibes. Others ask why the updates never graduate beyond "we'll see." In other leagues, that ambiguity would trigger pressers and whiteboards full of timelines. Here, it's turned the rumor mill into an industrial plant. And in the background, a more pragmatic chorus raises a question that stings. If overseas money comes in 3 to 4 times higher for some, with different physical demands and more predictable recovery structures, what's the incentive to bang your head against a wall that doesn't budge? Now, let's be precise. Nobody said Caitlyn is bolting. Nobody credible. The Europe storyline is bait dressed as journalism. But the reason a rumor spreads is because the underlying math exists. We have years of players supplementing or replacing W paychecks with overseas seasons. We have examples of stars stepping away when the model didn't fit their life or long-term health. We have a league that's never been more visible and also never been under a bigger microscope in terms of protecting that visibility. That's the tension.